Peace and love to everyone out there. Welcome to another Supreme Numerics offering. And Supreme Numerics is the proper study and application of numerology to help you activate your personal power and abundance. And this video is covering the July 2025 numerology message universally for everyone, regardless of your birthday, zodiac sign, and geographical location, along with the numerical expression of the word July. So let's go ahead and get into it. So when I broke down the numbers for July, just looking at the calendar numbers, along with the sum total of the calendar month, along with the current year, as well as numerical vibe of the word July, it brings me to the message of spiritual cultivation, as well as balancing the intuitive self with the mental self. We have a number 7 as July is the 7th month. And when we add 7 to the universal year of 2025, that adds up to the number 16. 1 plus 6 equals 7. So we have that double 7 energy going on. But we're going to focus on the number 16 as a compound number first, and then we'll get into the root number of 7 after that. So 16 is a karmic debt number, and karmic debt numbers indicate challenges that need to be overcome as a result of wrongdoing that was done in the past life. So under a 16 karmic debt number, you may experience deception and loss until that debt is paid. And you can repay that debt through genuine, selfless love, honesty, and forgiveness, as expressed or explained in this book here, Numbers Decoded, Cards Unfolded by Jackie Levine. Now, going into the tarot meaning of the 16, it is the tarot card, also referred to as the Shattered Citadel. From this perspective, the 16 cautions us that our plans for the future should be carefully detailed and planned out in advance in order to avoid a fatalistic outcome or sudden losses and accidents. The tarot meaning of the 16 is also an indication that everything on the surface isn't what it appears to be, and that the truth is hidden as a result of you ignoring the red flags by not listening to intuition and allowing it to be your guide. And this is written and explained in these two books, Carol's Book of Numbers, as well as Heather Lagan's Chaldean Numerology for Beginners. All in all, the truth comes to light in July, and it will ultimately confirm what you knew all along. Considering the root number of 7, and we will stay with Lagan's tarot interpretation of the 7 since it aligns with my message for this month. The 7 in the tarot deck is the Chariot card, which instructs us to find a healthy balance between intellect and intuition. Lagan describes it as the number 7 as the brain, logic versus spirit. So logic versus spirit. And King Simon in Numerovation for Mental Stability describes it as mind over emotion. And to explain this duality, I like how Heather Lagan breaks down the duality between logic and spirit. She says the number 7 rules the consciousness and is composed of 2 separate and distinct schools of thought: the practical logic of the scientist in the lab and the abstract aura of the metaphysician in the forest. So as you can see, there's a lot of mental and spiritual aspects of this number 7 month. So it's certainly a time or a month to go inward. It's a month of self-reflection, inner growth, self-awareness, and introspection. You may feel the need or desire to get away from crowds, to get away from the noise, or to just get away from people in general altogether. So you can sit quietly in silence with your thoughts and contemplate your past actions, decisions, and motives. It's a spiritual number that calls for us to cultivate ourselves spiritually, whether it's religion, whether it's spirituality or metaphysics, but it calls for us to go into our moments of prayer and meditation while we have those quiet moments to ourselves. And I want to go to the synchronicity numbers breakdown of the number 7, synchronicity numbers by Anne-Marie Uber, and read to you what she says about the number 7. She calls the number 7 the student. The answer always lies within. All seeking and searching in the outer world always comes back to this. You may need some quiet time alone right now. If you cannot do this, then a form of it can be done while in the presence of others, with quiet listening, acting as an observer to what is happening around you, or envisioning yourself acting in the play, realizing it is all a script. This helps you to detach from getting caught up in another person's issues or dramas right now. With this method, you can then choose to emotionally react or calmly respond. Spiritual studies are also highlighted, and you are encouraged to focus on this aspect of your life. Now is the time for studying what needs to be learned on a soul level in order to move forward. You are making spiritual progress. Keep going. Now, transitioning from the spiritual side of things to the physical side of things, the 7 is in that duality of the 7 between that analytical scientist and that metaphysician in the forest. The 7 is a time to dig into research. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're supposed to write some type of academic research paper or a book or conduct some type of academic research study, but it means that in your day-to-day life, you are to look into everything and do your due diligence before you commit or act on anything during the number 7 cycle. But if you are that researcher that's doing the heavy research and doing in-depth study to produce publications or productions, this is a great time to do that as well. Also on the physical side, the number 7 is the number of mastery. So if there's any type of skill, vocation, hobby that you want to sharpen, July is the month to really lock in and put all your energy into it so you can master that skill. But above all, 7 is the number of the law of attraction. So whatever you want to accomplish this month, visualize it in your mind's eye first. Attract and don't chase what you desire. In terms of health, July is a mental health month. Health issues are usually associated with worry and anxiety. And with everything going on in the world right now, anxiety and worry may be heightened during this month with the wars and rumors of wars that are going on. Word to Matthew chapter 24. And also July marks the beginning of the Jason months. July, August, September, October, November. And people who are a part of the spiritual, metaphysical, or quote unquote conspiracy theory communities, they're familiar and recognize the Jason months as a time of rituals and sacrifice. So knowing that can also heighten people's worry and anxiety, those who subscribe or believe in those phenomena. So in order to alleviate the stress, anxiety, and the worry, and to prevent and keep those issues at bay, it'll be important for all of us to maintain a calm and meditative state of mind. Also, going to the beach, getting near some water will also be beneficial to the mind, body, and spirit. Astronumerically, the number 7 is ruled by Neptune, but it's also associated with the moon, as the number 2 is connected to the moon. Number 2 represents the full moon, and the number 7 represents the new moon. Number 2 is the feminine aspect of the moon in the physical, and the number 7 is the masculine aspect in the spiritual realm. And the people that will be most affected and can benefit the most from this energy, as long as they're operating on the higher side of the 7, are those born on the 7th, the 16th, 25th of the month, as well as people who fall under the signs of Cancer and Pisces. And that's according to the astro numerology lessons and information coming from Lloyd Strayhorn in this book right here, Numbers in You, and again, Jackie Levine's Numbers Decoded, Cards Unfolded. Now, considering the word July, that 4-letter word, July, the expression number of July, which is the sum total of the word, that denotes, well, in the name, it denotes one's life purpose. But for this month, and since we use the word July and we say the names of these months so often, they will denote lessons that are taught and learned that we all need to learn from the vibration of this word. And we will see that the word vibrations are in direct alignment with the themes and the message of the 7 universal month that I was just telling you about, from the tarot perspective, as well as the compound number perspective, the Pythagorean perspective, the Chaldean perspective. But we're going to apply the Chaldean and Pythagorean perspectives to the alphabets when we transcribe each letter of the word July to its assigned number. And we'll see that the themes of the calendar numbers of July being the 7th calendar month, and adding that 7th calendar month to 2025, or the universal year of 9 to get that 16-7, we'll see that they are in alignment, even though the word July does not add up to a number 7 in either one of the systems. Here's how. In the Chaldean system, July adds up to a master number 11, which is another spiritual and intuitive number, just like the number 7. It's also similar to the 16 in that it reminds us to listen to and follow our intuition to avoid hidden danger, since the master number 11 is connected to hidden dangers and deceptions on the negative or challenging side of the number. And following and listening to our intuition so we can avoid dishevel and destruction. Now, going back to the spiritual perspective, 11 is the number of spiritual awakening, as described in Lloyd Strayhorn's Numbers in You. And while spiritual awakening and downloads can come to us involuntarily with the 11, and when those downloads come to us, we need to write those ideas down and put them into action as soon as possible. But they don't always have to come involuntarily. It also helps to be intentional about our spiritual cultivation. And the best way to do that, the best way to be intentional about our spiritual cultivation, is to go inward. Just like I was saying about that number 7, go inward into our quiet space with our thoughts, into our prayer, into our meditation. And that's the very instruction of the number 7. Your spirituality is also connected to how you treat and interact with others. Matthew chapter 25, verse 40 says, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. So in that spirit, the master number 11 is a number of compassion. It's a number of love. It's a number of understanding. Even when you reduce it down to the root number of 2, 1 + 1 = 2, the number 2 is all about compassion, understanding, and love. It's just that since the number 11 is a master number, and master numbers are a higher vibration and a higher frequency, a higher energy, it just means love, compassion, and understanding at a higher level. It's also, the master number 11 is also a number of enlightenment. And that doesn't only mean enlightening oneself through our individual spiritual practices, cultivation, and study, but it's also about enlightening other people, lighting the way for others, being a guiding light for other people to follow and be inspired by. Lastly, when we look at the Pythagorean breakdown of the word July, its expression number in this system adds up to the number 14 as a compound number and the number 5 as a root number when we add 1 + 4. So how is this in alignment with the message of the number 7? Well, I told you that the 7 looks to achieve a balance between the intellect and the intuitive, the logic and the spirit, the mental and the emotional. In the word July, from the Chaldean perspective, it shows us the spiritual, intuitive side, while the Pythagorean shows us the mental side, because the number 5, 14 as a compound number, and 5 as a single digit root number, it's a mental number. Number 14, 5 is the intellectual. It gathers the facts, as Shirley Lawrence points out in The Secret Science of Numerology. It gathers the facts. And something else interesting that she points out in her book is when you break down the word research, the number 7 is the researcher number, the number of the researcher, analytical researcher. When you break down the word research in the Pythagorean system, it adds up to the number 77. So you got that double analytical research energy. And we add 7 + 7 together, it adds up to 14, bringing us back to what we were just saying about it being the mental number. That's the intellectual that gathers the facts. So July is telling us, reinforcing the message of the 7 universal month, that there needs to be a balance between the intellectual side and the intuitive side. So yes, go inward, go into your spirituality, trust your intuition, but also gather the facts and do the knowledge, God. So there's other approaches and concepts and areas that we can emphasize for this month. But my goal is to streamline the information between the calendar numbers for July and the word vibration of the word July, so we can connect the dots and I can provide a concise and focused message for this month. And that message is to find a healthy balance between the intuition and the intellect, and to make time for spiritual cultivation and development this month. If you're already doing it, stay the course, find your areas of growth. If you fell off a bit, I'll raise my hand because I definitely fell off on my spiritual cultivation. I'm getting back on it. I've gotten back on it. You can get back on it too. So with that being said, your reflection questions for this month Reflection question 1 is a 2-part question. What spiritual practices am I drawn to? And how can I deepen my spiritual practices and development this month? That's the first question for your meditation, for your reflection, for your journal. You can write it down in your journal, answer this 2-part question. And the second question is, how can I improve the balance between my intellectual and analytical self and my spiritual, intuitive, and emotional self? Those are your reflection questions for this month of July. So this has been the July 2025 numerology message on a universal level. If you want to know how this energy is affecting you on a personal level, just reach out to me. I'll show you how to calculate your personal year, personal month numbers, or I can do it for you with whatever you choose, whatever you want to do. Peace to Numeralytics in the building as I'm getting ready to head out, but peace to you, Queen. I was just on her channel the week before last doing the Juneteenth breakdown. She just did her July forecast, so go and check that out, and also check out Portia Cooper on Numeralytics as they break down the hidden and the real meaning of July 4th from a numerological esoteric perspective. I can't wait for that. You know, I'm definitely going to be tuned in for that. But I will that everyone has a joyful and fulfilling month. And I will that everyone activates their personal power and abundance, which is the meaning of supreme numerics from a numerical standpoint. And until next time, may the Creator and the ancestors bless you and keep you. May they smile down on you and be kind to you. And may they be pleased with you and give you peace of mind. I'll see you on the next edition, the next offering of Supreme Numerics. Peace.